The industrial city in the post-industrial society, the cultural regeneration of industrial architecture. As many nations in the world shift from an industrial to a post-industrial society, a need for regeneration, reuse of the industrial architecture in cities emerges. Through urban policies, organic development and investment, these areas regenerate with several different aims, for example, to improve housing or to generate jobs, and through different processes, be it through the government or executed privately. This video will focus on regenerating areas as cultural cities, how it happens, what are the issues, and what is required for a sustainable regeneration, using Digbeth, Birmingham, as a precedent of the ongoing processes. The industrial city, de-industrialisation, and the post-industrial. Today's Birmingham develops based on change in the world of unprecedented scale over 2.5 centuries. The Industrial Revolution, 1760 to 1850, in Birmingham saw more innovation and creative change than any other city in Britain, and brought huge wealth and social transformation to the city, with an effect lasting centuries. The modern Birmingham became highly industrialised, with a number of quarters of manufacturing dedicated to various products. With this came new, highly specific architecture, and the Digbeth area became the most industrialised part of Birmingham. The industrial architectural fabric of intense labour and long hours continued to grow significantly until the two world wars. After 1940, the Birmingham Blitz, the city was left dilapidated, and the following decades saw the emergence of urban regeneration policies. Urban regeneration, in its contemporary understanding, is a set of plans and actions to address and resolve urban, meaning to do with social and economic environments of cities, problems involving governments, communities and other parties with an interest to change the future sense of the area. It is usually a part of an urban policy which can be executed by national and local governments in the public or private sectors, or recently more often as partnerships. As the processes of urban regeneration deal with the complexity of socio-economic problems in a variety of different cities, they are dynamic, ever ongoing, and mostly without a definitive result, a final answer. These initiatives are grouped by the issues they address and resolve, which include economic regeneration and funding, environmental and physical regeneration, governance, housing and social regeneration, and cultural regeneration, on which this video will focus. The 1950s and 60s in the UK saw a number of urban policies from the national and local governments to address the issues of overcrowded inner cities and lack of quality housing, the aftermath of World War II. During the 1970s and 80s, in the process of deindustrialisation, more than a half of the jobs in the manufacturing industry were lost, and urban regeneration policies had to be applied to revive the areas of industry. This marks the evolution of the post-industrial society. The post-industrial can be described economically as the shift away from the manufacturing sector towards the service sector as the main generator of wealth, when most people's occupations are to do with the professional and technical class. Socially, it is a society whose ideological decision-making paradigms are based on intellectual theories, and its future vision derives from complex, science-based technology. The 1980s and 90s distinguished the beginnings of economic regeneration programs. Birmingham saw investments from the City Council with a sizable backing from the EU regional funding to develop the International Convention Centre and to regenerate the custard factory in Digbeth, as well as private investment in Brindley Place development and others. The industrial areas and cities benefit from economic, social and associative qualities which make them attractive to financial and community investment and development. Industrial building complexes, left half empty after the financial crisis of the 1980s and deindustrialisation, became areas of concern in Birmingham, which called for regeneration. These programmes have very often seen success all over the world, with a number of lasting developments, including Digbeth, which invites to investigate which qualities of the industrial environment attribute to this. Firstly, industrial estates experienced a large decline in their value, as the primary use of the buildings had stopped. Digbeth could be described as an area of cheap industrial lots in favourable inner-city sites which attract investment with vision of regeneration. However, the often dilapidated, polluted state of the industrial sites must be considered, requiring investment of time and money resources to redevelop. Secondly, these sites embody a lot of the elements of a qualitative space, with a good sense of space, genius loci. These spaces exhibit a sense of history, meaning and identity. They are accessible and void of class, with a capacity for difference. Small clues of materiality, industrial machinery, decay and juxtaposition between the past of the space and its current use contribute to an experience of freedom and individuality. It's a clear canvas of opportunity and thought. These rundown sites provide unequatable opportunities to architects and artists of re-inhabitation and expressive redevelopment. With the apparent attractive qualities of deindustrialised sites and the economic benefits of leisure and cultural regeneration, initiatives for such processes began to develop during the 1990s and have carried through to today at all levels of authority. Cultural regeneration programmes comply with the post-industrial service-based economy, with shops, cafes, concert halls, galleries, evening and nighttime economies generating profit, as well as being attractive to the people of the cities and the image of them. Clusters of culture in good inner-city locations have set a precedent of being financially and socially liable forms of urban regeneration, providing diversification in business and preserving the cultural heritage of the areas, if managed appropriately. The European Commission launched the European Capital of Culture programme in 1985, and the cities designated to the role for a year have seen substantial investment in urban development because of the fact. The Birmingham City Council, which has put the city forward for the European Capital of Culture role many times since the beginning of the programme, awarded grants for the Brindley Place, ICC, Bullring and Custard Factory, as well as others, for regenerative cultural development, which in result attracted private investors and community involvement. Digbeth has seen a particular kind of cultural redevelopment as a creative city. With initiatives driven by intellectual, artistic ideas, the Digbeth Cultural Cluster develops in a more contemporary, sustainable way. Educational institutions, music, visual arts, fashion, sports and food create a youthful hub with the ability of self-regeneration. With businesses, partnerships run by and in compliance with the users, the area has developed a more community involvement-based system, which prevents or limits some of the issues which might arise in traditional cultural regeneration programs. Through several cultural regeneration policies and initiatives, a set of common problems repeatedly arise, which have to be studied and prohibited for lasting, sustainable regenerations of post-industrial areas. The common descriptors of the problems to do with cultural regeneration are financial and authenticity issues. Organically developed cultural events, bohemian independent businesses, often become mainstream and are seen as financial opportunities by large investors and local governments, driving the smaller, local parties out of business. Areas which become more attractive because of their cultural redevelopment often experience gentrification, with both the living quarters around the areas becoming more expensive and taken over by wealthier class of inhabitants, and the businesses being replaced by similar, larger players, resulting in attractive functional areas, but often unauthentic, financially liable constructs, which has been seen in Tribeca, Manhattan and Camden Town, London, as well as others. To create an image and improve the financial effectiveness of an area, characteristic businesses and events are singled out, with other parties left unsupported, and copying and mimicking successful developments often occurs. Governments tend to choose to invest in large flagship developments without dividing resources between multiple projects. This often results in developments which do not live up to their financial and practical expectations, as the public does not feel involved and interested in the resulting product. Birmingham has seen this with the £180 million development of the International Convention Centre, losses of which had to be paid for even long after its completion. Digbeth is experiencing a challenging state in its development as a creative hub, as it often lacks the people traffic needed for the independent shops and studios to survive. However, further gentrification with corporate giants looming closer and closer to the custard factory, for example the Starbucks coffee using a wall, usually graffitied by artists, as a space for advertisement in the form of a mural, is seen as a serious threat. This, however, is tackled through online articles, forums and communal efforts to sustain the area, as it is favoured by its inhabitants, which can be seen as a healthy sign of creative regeneration. Cultural regeneration of post-industrial areas provides successful, attractive and effective results. However, the sustainability of such developments has to be viewed as a key focus point for the present and the future. The combination of vacant, simply planned architecture, a history, meaning and character, and initiative, involvement of creative individuals and community results in authentic opportunities and projects full of potential and reality. These artistic, entrepreneurial endeavours must be sustainably supported and protected for a lasting creative city.